South Point offers all the types of entertainment you'd expect at a first-class Las Vegas resort. Did you know our 400-seat showroom is one of Las Vegas's top destinations for live entertainment? Enjoy live performances by classic Vegas entertainers, bands, and today's hottest comedians, plus a rockin' dance floor. You can also enjoy live entertainment at the Grand View Lounge, where you'll feel all the vibes of old Las Vegas. Enjoy the music, and if you love to laugh, don't miss The Dirty at 12:30, our very own free comedy show, every Friday night at 12:30 a.m. in the Grand View Lounge. The Dirty is 100% free, so arrive early. Go to southpointcasino.com or call the box office at 77136 for today's performances at the showroom and the Grand View Lounge. When you're ready for your favorite cocktail, stop in and unwind at one of our 7 specialty lounges. There's a bar around every corner, because you're in Vegas, baby. South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Welcome in at Sports by the Book Football Frenzy on a Monday. We are wrapping up Week 8 in the National Football League tonight. I'm Jeff Parles, alongside me, Ryan McCormick. And on the far side of the desk, he's ready to go. He's already got the shirt on, and it's, of course, our boss here at the South Point, Sportsbook Director, our good friend Chris Andrews on the end.
What's up, pal?
It's been a fun few days.
Yeah, for some of us.
Yeah, well, between the two of us on the desk,
not so much.
McCormick his team suffers one of the worst losses I can ever remember.
I genuinely could talk the entire hour about the Bears' performance.
Yeah, and then
but I won't. So
and then
I'm
rooting for the Jets to be embarrassed as much as they can be.
Yeah, you two guys.
It's
you
pretty
had
bad.
Some bad losses.
Yeah, well, whatever.
Bad losses to say the least.
Yeah, that's not fun. But regardless, let's go to tonight, and then we're going to go back to the week that was, because curious where underdogs actually finally made a comeback in the NFL for once.
Finally, yeah.
We'll get into that, and we'll get into what happened on Saturday as well. Tonight, the Steelers and Mike Tomlin's brilliance on Monday night, where Ryan McCormick, I know, has the number for that in a second, go up against a Giant team that has just really struggled this year. They've been better on the road. Both of their wins are away from home so far this year. Daniel Jones hasn't thrown a touchdown at home since 2023. But Chris, steady at 6 after you opened at 7 and been steady for about 3 days at 6 on this.
Yeah, I have a feeling I'm going to head back to 6.5 pretty soon. They keep betting me the money line on Pittsburgh, which I understand that. That's probably a decent bet. Steelers still have some offensive deficiencies. What's the total? Where are we at? 37. I think we're running actually a little high. It's mostly 36.5. So I can see if you do like the Steelers, you're not afraid to lay the wood. They mostly laid 260, 250, 260. I'm up to 280 now. I have a feeling we might get to 6.5 fairly soon too.
But seeing more action on or numbers on the under versus the over.
Parlays heading to the over.
Yeah.
What else is new?
Frank Nicotero, his head just perked up.
Yeah.
But this just feels like one of those games for Pittsburgh where it was a slow start last Sunday night, and then they just beat up on the Jets as soon as Rodgers threw that pick a little bit before 2 minutes ago in the first half. Pittsburgh's on the bye next week. Mm-hmm. This is a nice spot to get fat and happy and get to 6-2 and would be in first place by themselves in the AFC North after Baltimore fell to Cleveland yesterday afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, I think when we looked at the schedule, we knew they had to be front loaded with some wins because they have a bad or
The whole division in the back half.
Yeah, they all have the whole division in the back half. But my point then, and I'll make it again, we don't know who's good and bad. I mean, before the season.
Right.
We're starting to figure it out. Okay, Baltimore's really good.
Oh, yeah.
Cincy, I still don't know.
They got embarrassed.
The way that game went yesterday was pretty alarming to me, where they have as good of a drive as anyone in the NFL had all season long, that 10-plus minute marathon where they converted 5 third downs on it, and then they got destroyed the rest of the game mostly after that.
They did, but, red alert here. I think Philly's starting to figure it out.
I agree with you on that.
They're
Yeah, they
whatever
get the two weapons on the outside come back healthy.
Absolutely.
Figure out the run game.
Yeah.
That early season bye helped a lot.
It looked like it was maybe a bad time for the bye, like when you look preseason. But I say this every year, we don't know what the hell's going on. We really don't. We might be in week 16 and still be trying to figure out what's going on. But that wound up working in their favor. They had some stuff with Sirianni, and it looks like that may have passed, at least for the moment. But I think Philly right now, I was very impressed. I mean, like I said, I don't know what to think about Cincinnati, but I was very impressed with Philly yesterday.
By the way, Pittsburgh's schedule after tonight.
Yeah, go ahead.
At Washington, which all of a sudden is
looks like
a difficult game. Baltimore, at Cleveland, at Cincy, Cleveland, at Philly, at Baltimore, Kansas City, Cincy.
Jeez.
That is a brutal schedule.
And we haven't even talked about Cleveland, which maybe it was addition by subtraction by getting rid of Watson.
I'm happy you brought them up because that's actually, of all the games yesterday, that was the one game I had my eye. Again, I was heavy on Cleveland to begin with. Not money line, but
the 9.
The 9 earlier in the week. Didn't even get the best of it and was still okay. Baltimore's offense is as good as they've ever been. Because I think I know Lamar's won 2 MVPs. This is the most comfortable Lamar's ever looked throwing the football. He's been unbelievable throwing the ball. But that defense, I really do think, Chris, during that 5-game winning streak, that defense really got hid because of how well Jackson was playing, how well Derrick Henry was running the ball. That defense has some problems. And they were very much exposed yesterday. I mean, even if you look at the previous, other than that Buffalo beatdown, they gave up 38 to Cincy. They gave up 23 to Washington. Tampa, I know, lost the 2 receivers in that game, was non-competitive. Tampa still scored 30 in that game. And then yesterday, an offense that had done nothing with Deshaun Watson, magically looks better without him. Yeah. And Cleveland put 29 on him yesterday.
Well, I don't think Cleveland had scored more than 18 at any game this year.
Yeah, they were the only team they were the only team in the NFL to not score 20 and the only team to not have 200-plus passing yards.
Yeah, or 300 total yards in a game either. They 29 points, 401 total yards, 321 passing yards.
Okay, now it's still Jameis Winston. So let's, cool the Jets a little bit.
Sure.
But they're suddenly looking
30 season.
reasonably competent, whereas before it was just a total joke with Watson.
Well, yeah.
But I think right now, I mean, mentally you have to, if you're a Cleveland player, got to be a little bounce in your step at this point, doesn't there, I would think?
100%.
And I still think Stefanski's a good coach. He might get the blame for all this crap that, owners don't take it themselves. Stefanski's going to be the guy right there that they're going to pin it on. But he is a good coach. And if he does lose his job, I don't think he'd be out of a job long. But like I said, it's still Jameis Winston, but I do see them improving. Cincinnati, I'm still not sure what to do with them. And Pittsburgh's had a very good record over the years against Baltimore. So I mean, it might be, horrible or it might not. They still got Kansas City and Philly. I mean that's and all of a sudden, like you said, Washington.
Yeah.
Which probably early in the season you had that penciled in as a fairly likely win. Yep. Now, definitely not so much.
Yeah.
Well, coming off a bye week, let's hope the Steelers look better than the Bears did off a bye week against the Commanders.
Well, again,
just a self-jab there.
It's only an hour show.
I know.
You're Ryan. You can't go. That's all we have.
Yeah. Just real quick on the AFC as a whole here, where, look, the AFC East behind Buffalo has been an epic dumpster fire between New York and Miami, who have a combined 4 wins as we head into November. The AFC West, you have 3 teams over 500, but I don't think anyone has much faith in either the Broncos or the Chargers with the way they've looked. And also, Broncos have really had a front-loaded, easier schedule where it gets significantly more difficult on the back end. The AFC South, the Houston Indy game. Anthony Richardson completed 2 passes in the first half.
Unbelievable.
And Houston almost lost that game yesterday.
Yeah.
They're sitting at 6-2, and it's funny because Frank, of course, circled the sheet that's still in front of me, and I know there are a lot of people today, just looking ahead, Chris, that look to Thursday night, and Ryan and I will preview it all on Thursday, where New York at 2-6 was opened as a favorite in this game against Houston, where I think we all know what's going to happen probably betting wise for this game with that number, right, Chris?
Yeah, I opened at pick, you know, because I don't, am I still at pick or am I at 1? I can't remember. We had a lot of moves today.
That is a pick. The rest of the market is New York 1.
Yeah, I'm going to take a bet before I move it because, and again, I think Houston probably is the right side. But I think I mentioned on your show the other day, Houston, I looked at them this year as being not just ascending up the ladder, but step up, 2 steps up, 1 step back, 2 steps up, 1 step back. Much tougher schedule this year, and everybody kind of knows they're coming. They're not going to get anybody napping. I'm not trying to pick the winner, but the public's going to bet Houston.
Well, that's what I'm saying, 100%. I think this is one of those. One of the more obvious betting patterns going into a game that we're ever going to have, where everyone's going to see the Jets as this all-time dumpster fire at the moment, and they're like, wait a second, Houston's a pick against that team,
right?
But it is a short week. It is on the road, and if there's any sense of pride left in New York, which I don't know if there is at this rate, you have to have some sort of effort in this game against a real team.
I would say this anecdotally because I don't have all the numbers in hand, and it would take a little research and a little subjectivity to come up with it. But it seems to me over the course of time on these Thursday games, if the better coached, the better quarterback team has an edge. With this short week and all that. Like I said, it'd be hard to really, because like I said, a lot of subjectivity.
Right.
Now, I think clearly Houston has a better coach.
That's obvious for
sure.
Yeah,
It's not even close.
Yeah.
Quarterback, I don't know what we do with Rodgers. He's another one. C.J. Stroud, I still love the kid, but it's only his second year.
Look, Houston, I'll just throw that, and we'll go into this more on Thursday. But Houston has a 6-2 record with a +9 point differential.
Yeah.
That is usually not long-term success with that type of point differential.
Absolutely. I would tell you that. And a lot of times that point differential over the course of time it'll stack, and that's in baseball, it's in football.
It's everything,
that's just the way it works. But, I don't know what to do with the, like I said, coaching, it's not even close where the advantage goes. But they are on the road, and you have a young quarterback. As great as he's been, I think he's been terrific, but he's still young. He's just a kid. And you have, a 39-year-old veteran who's,
looks done.
Looks done and looks good at times. He really does. Can I give you one more betting pattern that I think I kind of see?
Please.
I think Denver, when they play bad teams, they're going to run them off the field. When they play good teams, I think they're liable to get run off the field themselves.
Well, they're about to play Baltimore.
I was going to just
awful
say,
loss. No,
I
less.
would not. Don't let that last one go to your head. That last win, they played a bad team and handled them just the way they should. But I think that they're going to have a real tough time this week with Baltimore.
Yeah, I think Denver's got Denver's regression to the means coming here these next 3 weeks. They go to Baltimore. They go to Kansas City.
How's that?
Good luck.
Yeah.
And then they play Atlanta, which is, again, who knows what we're getting out of the Falcons on a weekly basis. But talent-wise, Atlanta's much better than they are talent-wise.
Yeah.
Now, after that, they played 4 straight games that are winnable with the Raiders, the Browns, the Colts, and the Chargers. Look, we'll see. There's always one surprise playoff team going into the year.
The way that defense is playing,
their pass defense is spectacular. There's no arguing that.
very well might be Denver.
For sure. I want to ask you about college, Chris, before we let you go back to work. Drew Aller gets hurt.
Yeah.
In the first half of that game in Wisconsin. And I'm going to be honest with you, Chris. That was one game I ended up losing on because as soon as Aller got hurt, I did not think that the algos and the live betting correctly adjusted for him being out. So I had a whole bunch of liability for myself on Wisconsin, and I ended up losing because Bo Pribula played pretty darn well in relief for Penn State in the second half, leading, again, they get a pick six that really changes the tenor of that game. But Pribula led 2 touchdown drives in the fourth quarter to put that game on ice to win by 2 scores. Now Penn State hosts Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
We know the history with Franklin against these high-end teams. It's not pretty. He could be going in with his backup quarterback. And Ohio State's coming off of just a horrible effort in a game that, quite frankly, they should have lost, even though they ended up holding on and beating Nebraska as 25-point favorites. How do you think this goes throughout the week? Because right now you guys are sitting at 4. There's a bunch of 3.5 in the market on this as well.
My numbers came to exactly 4 on this game, so I have no real opinion in that sense. I will tell you, though, when Allard went out, I'm following a lot of Penn State guys. Oh, no, this is a disaster. And I'm thinking like, oh, God, don't tell me we're going to lose. Because I got Joe Holler, Mr. Wisconsin, sitting back there. I did not want to lose to Wisconsin. But I thought he looked really good. I mean, I was impressed.
Pribula did.
Yeah, Pribula.
Yes, yeah.
I thought he looked really good. Did he miss his first 2 passes, I think?
The first throw was really ugly.
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking. Oh, my God.
And then, yes, I think his second one was a drop, and then he went 11 of 11 for the rest of the game.
I mean, I was really impressed because they were in his face. There's no doubt. And he ran really well. I mean, you got to stop and think. I mean, Allard, I think, is a very good quarterback. I'm not sure where he goes from here, to be honest with you. But you have to figure Penn State's going to recruit a pretty good quarterback, at least coming out of high school.
Yeah.
There may be some limitations. They haven't put too many guys in the pros or anything like that. But you had to figure the kid's pretty good. And I was very impressed. I thought he looked really good. But I didn't adjust my number this week on him because I think Allard obviously is going to try to play. But if they got to go with this kid, I don't know. I think they'd be okay. No, let me say no, not significantly worse.
Game time decision on Allard already.
Yeah.
Franklin has already said this is going to come down to the last few minutes.
Yeah.
And that is, again, an early kick.
I wish that would have been the night game.
100%. Chris, you have no argument for me because that is one of the best night environments in college football.
I know.
And because of the television contracts, we're stuck with it being a noon kick in State College. The other quarterback in the Big Ten, by the way, Rourke, Indiana didn't seem to miss him too much over the weekend.
Not at all. No.
He's a game time decision against Michigan State.
I didn't adjust that number either.
I wouldn't. Look, Chris, we're at this point with Indiana where Indiana's 8-0.
Yeah.
They've won all their games by double digits. This is beyond real at this point from the Hoosiers, where you handle your business against the 2 Michigan teams the next 2 weeks. You're 10-0 going in a horseshoe, and what version of Ohio State are we getting on that?
I was going to say, you have to think they're going to look at that Nebraska film and say, man, from Nebraska came this close to pulling it off. And believe Tom Blazek back there, he's Mr. Ohio State too. He was sweating bullets. I hope he's listening right now. I hope he's sweating bullets again this week too.
So how much of that for both of these teams this past week versus Wisconsin and versus Nebraska was it a look ahead to this game?
I don't think Penn State was a look ahead because Wisconsin's, especially going up there. Yeah, that's a tough place to play. This isn't the greatest version of Wisconsin we've seen for the last 2 decades, but still, you're going into Camp Randall. That's
great environment.
That's not an easy place to play. So I don't think they're. Bob, can you say that Ohio State was looking ahead? You can legitimately make that excuse. I think you can do that. But still, you get out on the field and you got to perform. Right. And all honestly, they didn't perform very well.
No, again, the box score says Ohio State was better. Forget the scoreboard, just the box score says Ohio State was at 6 yards of play. Nebraska was at 4 yards of play. You're supposed to win that game if you're Ohio State with that box score. But just watching them, Howard looked uncomfortable. The run game wasn't overly great. Was not a particularly good effort by the Buckeyes. And I will say this, just to put a bow on this college thing, because we'll have our power rankings in a little bit. The Oregon Ducks, who were big favorites against a team that was ranked in the top 25, where I know there are a lot of people this week who are like, oh, I'm getting 23 points with a team in the top 25. Sign me up. We talked about this Friday. Oregon was my favorite of the week, especially at a lower number that was around for a lot of the week at 21.5. And that game was over quickly. And Oregon who now has, look, they have to go to Michigan this week, and we know Michigan's not any good.
Pretty big
Oregon's
favorite there. Yeah.
almost a 3-score favorite in that game. They get Maryland, a trip to Camp Randall and Washington. Boy, that's it. You might as well punch your ticket at this point to the college football playoff for Oregon, even though a lot of people would have argued after they beat Ohio State they could have done it.
Yeah, so, I mean, if they do go to the Big Ten championship, I mean, they're looking at Ohio State, Penn State, or dare I say, Indiana.
I think you can dare to say.
Dave Damashek, you listen, because if we get Indiana and Pitt might be in a little trouble this week. If we get Indiana and Pitt both undefeated, Damashek is going to be impossible to live with.
So I do my updated list of who's still technically alive, at least in my book, for a college football playoff spot. Right now, for the 12 spots, I'm down to 26.
Yeah.
Down to 26 that could potentially make it. And keep in mind, 6 of that 26 is for one spot because 6 of those teams are for that one non-power conference slot.
Okay.
That I have.
How many got out of the ACC?
I have 4 alive.
4? 4 alive.
4
okay,
alive.
Yeah.
4 alive.
You don't have 4 penciled in.
I have 2 in at the moment. I have 2 penciled in at the moment, Miami and Clemson.
Okay.
But I have 4 alive right now in that conference. Clemson, Miami, SMU, Pitt are all still alive at the moment.
SMU, I think SMU is going to be trouble for Pitt this week.
I agree with. Well, let's see if Holstein can even play.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Boy, SMU is really playing some good ball.
Even though that was a bad effort from them on Saturday, Ann's Duke Blue Devils almost got him.
SMU. Yeah.
Yeah, SMU.
What, they have 6 turnovers?
Yeah, -6 in the turnover differential and still won the game.
That can do it. You know, that can do it.
Duke's kicker missed 4 kicks.
Whereas Pitt was like, I don't know what the absolute turnover margin was, but when we turned 3 of them into pick 6s, that usually pads the score a little bit.
5 interceptions.
Hey, your under got there.
Yeah,
though,
it did.
Ryan. That's all that matters. That's all said and done.
Ultimately, the Bears lost that parlay. So.
Oh, jeez. No.
Right, I told you we only have an hour.
I can take the whole day.
Chris, we'll let you go back to work.
Okay.
Thank you as always.
All right, guys. We got a World Series game too, but
is it mostly Yankee traffic tonight down too low?
No. It's excellent two-way. By the way, somebody had a film. I think it was Patrick Everson was filming the end of the the Bears game when they scored, and it. Pretty good. If you can find that out on Twitter, it's pretty funny. You know,
Patrick was in here hanging out with me yesterday for a little bit. Yeah,
Patrick, good guy.
Good guy. One of the hardest workers there is in this space.
He really is. All right, guys, have a great show.
Thank you, Chris. All right, well, True Dog, we'll take a 1 minute here. We'll take a 1 minute break. When we get back, our bets tonight, our power rankings in college football. Vinny Magliulo gets a grade our power rankings as well. As we go along here on Sports by the Book Football Frenzy.
South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Welcome back in Sports by the Book South Point Studio. It is Football Frenzy on a Monday. Jeff Parles, Ryan McCormick.
Yes, sir.
Chris Andrews, thank you for being in here with us. Vinny Magliulo. So we'll get the Bookmaker 2-step.
Yep.
We'll be with us in about 20 minutes from now. Ryan, let's look at tonight's game from our perspective. And I'm just going to throw this out there right out of the gate. This is a few things in my head tonight. There are a few things that I can't quite get over here.
Okay.
Mike Tomlin, you'll have the number in a second, is dominant on Monday Night Football. Mike Tomlin also has the most losses for any active head coach in the NFL as a 6-point or more favorite. So
it's a funny combination.
Yeah, we have a fun combination in this game where Pittsburgh has been dominant on Monday night, but Tomlin, it seemingly feels like, and it has happened now dating back to 2020, where Pittsburgh loses at least a game as a 6-point favorite. So, and last year they lost 2 games as more than a 6-point favorite a year ago. So, look, Ryan, if the Steelers from the second half show up, second half of last week, where they just demolished the Jets in the second half, if that version shows, I don't know how the Giants stay in this game. If we get the lackadaisical effort that we saw for the first 28 minutes last Sunday night, Giants could win this game outright. It is a very, from a traditional sense, is a very difficult handicap for me tonight.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. If this is a sloppy football game, it's Giants +6. But if it's what it's supposed to be, and the Pittsburgh Steelers look like the Mike Tomlin-led Pittsburgh Steelers, who is 20-3 on Monday Night Football,
pretty good,
have won 10-0 at home on Monday Night Football.
Good.
And you partner that with Daniel Jones is 0-7 in his career on Monday Night Football. It speaks Steelers -6, and that's the side that I'm on. I think it's a very heavy Steelers game tonight. I've got a bunch of action on them.
Okay, and so this is all terrible towel for you tonight.
Yeah. I had mentioned it last week. I think this was the perfect spot for them to make the change from Justin Fields to Russell Wilson. You get the matchup against the Jets last week, supposed to be a great defense, and you get to see what you have with Russell Wilson, and then you get the other New York team, both at home, into your bye week to finish out the rest of your year. So you had 2 weeks to figure out what you're doing with Russell Wilson and your team, and this is the second week, and you're getting one of the 5 worst teams in football coming into your building. So the Steelers should dominate tonight.
How about Ryan? You got good Daniel Jones stats for us, real quick.
Yeah.
Why don't we go with that here? If that's going to help anyone out there make a bet tonight.
Well, so I had just said Daniel Jones is 0-7 in his career on Monday night. He is 1-14 in the late window. Has not thrown a passing touchdown in prime time since November of 2021. November of 2021 was the last time Daniel Jones threw a touchdown pass in prime time. You want me to say it a third time? Because that's incredible.
Impressive. That's good.
Okay, so Daniel Jones, this will be his 68th career game. Vinny Magliulo has made a point that Daniel Jones is better on the road than he is at home. So I went and looked at the splits. 67 career games so far. He is 24, 42, and 1, a 36% win percentage.
That's everything put together.
That is everything put together.
Okay.
He's played 34 games at home. This will be his 34th game on the road. Daniel Jones has 27 touchdowns at home, 30 interceptions.
Okay.
He has 41 touchdowns on the road to 14 interceptions.
That is the most ridiculous
split.
split.
1 touchdown interception ratio at home and an almost 3-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio on the road.
That's incredible. So he goes from one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL at home at MetLife Stadium to that touchdown to interception rate is pretty darn good, Ryan McCormick, when it's all said and done on the road.
Yeah.
That is incredible.
Been sacked 112 times at home, 3.3 times per game. Sacked 88 times on the road, 2.7 times per game. Sacked 24 less times on the road than at home in 1 less game. So he stays upright for some reason, not in MetLife Stadium. He has a 78 QBR at home and a 92 QBR on the road. So those are just kind of the home to road splits there. But the funniest part about it, at home, Daniel Jones has a record of 12, 21, and 1. On the road, he has a record of 12 and 21. And so if this game ends in a tie, it would be the funniest result possible. He would be 12 and 21 at 12, 21, and 1, both at home and on the road.
Impressive. Very impressive. Very impressive. All right. Well, we already know Ryan's trying to fade Daniel Jones, even though he's a better quarterback on the road, even though he'll have more losses on the road if the Giants lose here tonight as a 6-point underdog. Let's go to our anytime touchdown odds here, Ryan, where we've been pretty good. We've been good at hitting these on these primetime games. So I'm just going to throw this out there here, where the best no touchdown in the game price I saw was 60-1. If I trusted the Giant defense a little bit more, I would say that's worth a small little piece. but I can't quite get there to recommend that. If you want to do pizza money or something along those lines, fine. That's available here in Vegas. Circa and Superbook have those numbers readily available. If you're not in Nevada, you're probably looking at about 45-1 at best. That I definitely cannot advocate a play on at that number. If we're looking at all the other anytime touchdowns, though, there's no laying prices tonight. That's a rarity.
Yeah. Depending
That's
on
a
where
rarity.
you go, you can get a plus price on anybody.
The defenses are both sub $4 tonight at DraftKings. Great on that. Of course, all these odds subject to change.
Yep.
But look, Ryan, mine, I actually got a better number that's on the board. I knew you couldn't help yourself with the last one.
I needed to put that
You
last one
need
on
to
there.
put the last one on there. But I took a piece of Darnell Washington at 13-1 at BetMGM, anytime touchdown. There are 3 tight ends behind Pat Freiermuth on the Steelers, and they're all basically the same. But last week, Washington was targeted 6 times. He had 4 catches. The other guys, Pruitt and Hayward, who are the other tight ends that are pretty much in the same position as the Georgia product Washington, and also Washington, of course, here in town, Desert Pine High School.
Yep.
But look, there seemed to be a little camaraderie with Russell Wilson and Darnell Washington. So at that bloated of a number, no problem with taking a shot at that. If we're going down the board at regular ones, the only look is the giant running backs for me today, where you're getting both Devin Singletary and Tracy north of 3-1.
Yep.
That would be the only way I would look to do it if I'm going on the Giant end, because those are very high numbers for running backs. And if the Giants do get it inside the 3-yard line, you know they're at least running the ball at least once or twice. So over $3 on either Tyrone Tracy, the rookie, or Devin Singletary. Those would be the only ways I would look on the Giants side, Ryan.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. The fun one there, the last one, the 25-1, is Daniel Bellinger, the starting tight end for the New York Giants. Not necessarily a pass-catching tight end for the New York Giants, being that they have Theo Johnson. But one of my childhood friends played with him in high school and played with Lalea Nobriga in our chat. So teammates of ours, Daniel Bellinger in high school. So going to be rooting for him the same way I was Jalen Naylor on Thursday. That one didn't work out. Let's hope this one does. It's been a long time since Daniel's gotten to the end zone. But in legitimacy, I do have Najee Harris to score a touchdown tonight. Plus 105. He's got back-to-back games with a touchdown. He has back-to-back 100-yard rushing games with the Steelers. The Steelers have back-to-back 30-point games. Jeff, do you happen to know how many 30-point games the Steelers have scored in the last 3 years?
Was it just that one that happened the other day?
No.
Okay.
So, well, excluding the 2 this season. In the previous 3 seasons,
So 0 then, right?
4.
Really?
They had back-to-back in 23. In week 16 and 17 last year, they went back-to-back. In 22, didn't happen. In 21, it happened once.
I remember the back end where they were randomly scoring a ton of points at the end of the season in their way to finding, that was going to Mason Rudolph. That's what it was, right? Mason Rudolph.
But
ridiculous.
Anyway, my point with the 30-point back-to-back 30-point games is that the Steelers offense is finding their stride, and they're getting it into a matchup against a defense that has a bunch of injury problems right now. Dexter Lawrence was limited in practice all week. You don't have your 2 starting corners, N'Dory Jackson and probably Cardell Foote, who is also questionable in this one. So we got to see Russell Wilson come out and target George Pickens a ton. George Pickens had his second best game of the year last week. He went over on all of his props. He has 4.5. Prop tonight on catches is 4.5, and his receptions is 60.5. He went over both of those last week. And Russell Wilson has made a career out of a 50-50 ball, and George Pickens has done the same with Kenny Pickett, and now these two as a tandem. It's just a match made in heaven. So one thing that I do kind of like tonight is George Pickens' longest reception.
Okay.
23.5.
I don't mind that. Again, Russell Wilson's moon ball seemed to be working by the end of that game last week. Again, Pickens bailed him out in the first half on multiple occasions where he legitimately was scraping catches off of defensive backs. That's 2 backs there, guys. Back to back. Yeah, exactly. But look, this is an interesting prop game as well. You just mentioned there, Ryan. I just want to bring this up on Neighbors real quick, where for the Giants, look, I like Wan'Dale Robinson. We were all over him against Dallas. We won everything in that night on Wan'Dale Robinson. But look, for Neighbors, where, again, he's probably going to attract the attention of Joey Porter Jr. for the most part here tonight. Last week, everything was a debacle for the Giants last week. Neighbors only had 4 catches for 41 yards. It feels like this should be, if the Giants are going to stay in this game, this has to be one of those games where Neighbors is going like for 8 catches for $110 or something in that category. It's almost a correlated parlay tonight, where if you like the Giants to cover, you probably should be betting Neighbors props over. Because I really don't see a path for staying in this game with Wan'Dale Robinson having a big game, unless if all of a sudden the Giants' run game ends up finding it. But the one other factor we have to bring up, though, in this game, because last week the Giants' offensive line in their first game without Andrew Thomas was embarrassing against Philadelphia. And they're going to run Zenadu out there again at left tackle because they don't really have a choice.
They might also be without Illuminor too.
Yeah, and Illuminor will get the report on Illuminor in the next 10 minutes, but it did not look promising as of a few hours ago.
Yep.
Look, this is a bad O-line, and you're going up against an elite pass rush, and that is always a concern here in this game. So that, again, when you're making your wagers tonight, that's something to keep in mind here, that the Giants' offensive line is battered, and it's bad because it's battered right now. And Andrew Thomas is going to get himself even more money when this is all said and done, because that dude is a stud. And the Giants have went from a mediocre offense to an offense that genuinely couldn't block last week. And it's not like Philly's pass rush was elite going into that game, even though they played well in that game, and they played pretty well yesterday against Cincinnati.
Yeah, well, just to go back to your point about the Neighbors thing.
Yeah.
This season, so the 5 games that he's played, he's 3-2 to the over on his receptions and his yardage. The 3 games that he went over were 1-score games for the Giants. The 2 losses, the Giants lost by 3+ scores. So to Jeff's point, if the Giants are going to stay in this game, Malik Neighbors is going to be relevant. So if you like the over, you probably like the Giants. If you like the unders, stay away. So
Giants, Steelers, 6-point favorites tonight for Pittsburgh, total 37 on Monday Night Football. Chris and company just moved to 6.5, as Chris was telling us before he left, that was going to move quickly to 6.5. There's still a lot of 6 in the market if you want to lay a good number with Pittsburgh. So, but if you like Big Blue, the best number in the country and in the state right now is right behind us here at the South Point. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we get back, Ryan McCormick and I will go through our college football power rankings heading into November. Yes, I know there's games throughout this week, but none of our teams are playing until later in the week.
Yep.
And it is quite the change, at least for me. One team goes vaulting up the list off of their just demolition in the second half in a top 15 matchup a week ago. We'll break it all down. College football power ratings when we get back here on Sports by the Book Football Frenzy.
If you're celebrating a special occasion or just love fine dining, you're in the right place. Come experience the crown jewel of South Point restaurants, Michael's Gourmet Room.
Welcome.
With over 600 different types of wines and magnificent dishes prepared tableside, you'll revel in the rich classic Vegas decor and the best black tie service in the world. This intimate gourmet room has earned accolades galore. Come to Michael's Gourmet Room for an unforgettable dining experience. Another famous restaurant is the Silverado Steakhouse, where you'll find the charm and service that discerning patrons require. From top quality steaks and chops to fresh seafood and desserts, you'll love the award-winning wine list and menu at Silverado Steakhouse. Steak lovers have even more options with primarily prime rib. Catering to hearty appetites, the menu features a variety of flavorful prime rib cuts, dry-aged to ensure tenderness, and then seasoned and slowly roasted. Although prime rib is our specialty, it's not the only thing on the menu. There's something for everyone. And if you're craving a taste of Italy, come experience delicious Italian cuisine and the attentive service at Don Vito's. Our culinary team starts with the freshest ingredients and transforms them into traditional favorites. And don't forget Italian desserts. Don Vito's. Savor the taste of Italy. Finally, if sushi is more your style, join us at the popular Zenshin Asian restaurant and sushi bar. where we're serving up the freshest sashimi, nigiri, and sushi rolls. And beyond the sushi, an exciting contemporary Asian cuisine menu. Plus a variety of specialty drinks, Japanese and domestic beer, wine, and sake. Balance your hunger with Zenshin.
We're back. It's Sports by the Book Football Frenzy. Jeff Parles, Ryan McCormick. Ryan, as always, our chat active here on a Monday night.
Yeah, we've got John, Vince, Minidar, Laulea, and my holy king in there. Laulea says Lamar Jackson is afraid of the Steelers, or scared of the Steelers, and then King said Lamar is afraid of the Chiefs. Nobody fears the Steelers. And then there was a bit of a back and forth. Numbers say otherwise. Nobody's afraid of Russell Wilson. Russ isn't on defense. That kind of stuff. But
it sounds like we got a lot of action. I don't know how substance it is, but we got a lot of action in there today.
Yeah.
Is Minidar still complaining that I hate the Broncos?
Yeah. He actually called them your Broncos.
Yeah. Okay. That's fine.
The Ravens host Jeff's Broncos.
Yes.
You may be better off cheering for the Broncos than the Jets.
Well, that's obvious, my man. But look, again, I don't hate the Broncos. I just don't think Bo Nix is any good. And it's not a crime. I think I'm not alone on an island. Defense is awesome, though.
Yes.
I'll give him that. All right, college football power rankings here. Let's go. Let's go real quick here, Ryan. I just want to bring this up. On my power rankings going into this weekend, it was basically whoever won LSU and Texas A&M was going to, in my mind, be, all right, they're a playoff team.
Okay.
Because both of those teams have LSU had Bama, where now that game in 2 weeks is a pure elimination game.
Yep.
Whoever loses that is completely done. Whoever wins that, with the way everything's going, kind of on playoff life support still, but would still be alive. But Texas A&M, who after week one looked like they were heading for, all right, it's going to take a while for Elko. It's okay. Like Jimbo Fisher and Elko went pretty aggressively after Jimbo Fisher in the postgame press conference on Saturday as well.
Yep.
And honestly, properly so, with how badly Fisher did there in College Station, where A&M is now rattled off 7 straight after losing opening night to Notre Dame. They still got to play Texas. We can throw the list up there, actually, guys, if you want. At South Carolina this weekend, not the easiest of games, but a game they should win. They'll beat New Mexico State. They should beat Auburn, even though Auburn finally looked good, because guess what? They didn't turn the ball over, Ryan McCormick. But
it's weird how that works.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird. The back end of the top 10 for me, I'll go backwards here. Tennessee's at 10 because I'm not quite there yet. I'm elevating Iowa State to 10.
10 at 10?
10 at 10.
I had to do it.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Very good, Ryan. Iowa State's the team I wanted to put in this spot. I can't quite fully get there yet with any of those Big 12 teams.
I'm with you.
Even though finally BYU wasn't a luck box. They just destroyed Central Florida on Saturday.
Which an underdog was free.
Yeah, well.
BYU is an underdog?
Well, I made that game 1.5 BYU. I thought that the initial number was right when it was BYU 2.5. All right, maybe take with Central Florida. Couldn't justify it once he went the other way. Yeah. Central Florida, Gus Malzahn fired his defensive coordinator and let the offensive coordinator call the plays. So things going great in Orlando. Miami, you know what? They weren't overly impressive. They did cover though against Florida State. It was just the ultimate sad sack at this point. Yeah. Miami, there is no excuse at this point. You have to be 12-0 going into the ACC title game. You're a huge favorite against Duke this weekend. You're going to be a big favorite in all of the remaining 4 games. If you're Miami, you have to get there 12-0. And quite frankly, if Miami gets to Charlotte 12-0, they're going to the college football playoff, barring some weird results that final week. Texas A&M's at 8. Just keep winning, Aggies. You keep winning, you're going to find yourself in there as well. Notre Dame, it's kind of the theme for this whole back end of the top 10. Notre Dame, that was, I don't think that game was as non-competitive as the final score indicated, because Navy turned it over 6 times in that game. And unlike Duke, Notre Dame took full advantage of it, and they scored on all but one of those 6 turnovers. And look, for Notre Dame, their last 4 games are now Florida State after a bye. They're going to destroy Florida State.
Yep.
Virginia, not a good team. Both of those games in South Bend. Then they end up going coast to coast the last 2 weeks. They play Army at Yankee Stadium, where I think after seeing how Navy couldn't handle their defensive pressure, I don't know how Army's going to be able to handle it because I thought Navy was better than Army going into this week. And USC, who might be playing for bowl eligibility, so that could be a weird spot for the Irish, but they're going to be favored in all 4 of their games the rest of the way. Clemson, same deal with them. Other than that week 1 game against Georgia, they've been great this year. They're going to be favored in their remaining 4 games, even though I don't think, or 5 games. I don't think this is the greatest spot, though, against Louisville. Again, that Cardinal team got out of a jam against Boston College on Friday night last week. I would not be surprised if Louisville gives Clemson a real game. And Clemson, I think, needs to, well, they obviously need to get to the ACC title game.
Yep.
If they're not at the ACC title game and undefeated, and quite frankly, SMU has a manageable schedule to win out their ACC schedule. If Clemson doesn't make it to Charlotte, they're not getting to the college football playoff at 10-2. I really don't see that if that were to happen. Penn State's at 5. I couldn't really move them. I don't know what the status is. Aller's backup looked really good, as we talked about with Chris earlier. They stay at 5. Texas at 4. I finally moved Oregon ahead of Ohio State because now I think we can safely say that the difference at quarterback with those 2 teams, Oregon goes in front of them because of that. Because Will Howard's a nice starting quarterback, but Dylan Gabriel's an elite college quarterback. And since Oregon has stopped messing around, they've been great over the last 4 weeks now. And then Georgia stays at 1. I'm not moving them off of 1. There's no reason to. They're the best team in college football. Even with Carson Beck turning the ball over, they're still the best team in college football. Does it mean they're going to win the title? No. But until they're dethroned, they're staying at number 1 now after that beat down to Texas 2 weeks ago. I'm not moving them. They have the cocktail party this weekend against Florida, where they're 16.5-point favorites.
Yeah,
right?
no, I completely agree with you. Georgia is my top team, and I have Oregon at 2. But getting into my top 10, I do still have LSU at 10.
Okay.
That matchup last week was my 7 and 8 teams. A&M winning, put them at 7. LSU losing, put them at 10. LSU is a complete wild card. They win games, they lose the turnover battle, they lose games that they won the turnover battle. But so LSU, I think, is still a very good team. But like you said, they're gonna need some help in order to get into the playoff. Clemson, I have at 9. Their opening loss to Georgia at the beginning of the year kind of set them up or moved them down in everybody's power rankings, and they've just proved that they should be at the top ever since then. Alabama, I have climbing from 10 to 8 with the LSU moving down. Alabama, I still think, is a top team. Whether or not that matchup, Alabama and LSU, one of them is kept out of the playoffs, they're still a power rated better than the other teams that would make the playoffs in my mind. And that kind of brings up the scenario with Miami, SMU, and Clemson. If Miami gets in the playoff, I'm fading them no matter how many games they go. They are not a real team to me. I think Miami is due for loss over loss over loss.
I mean, look, they've been up until this last week. They've been begging to get beat the last 3 weeks. I have no problem with you not having Miami in there. Just the main reason I have them over LSU is I just think they're more talented.
I gotcha.
Yeah,
I gotcha. Yeah, I mean, Cam Ward is very talented and can do all the things that Miami offense needs them to do. But Tennessee, I have at 6. Penn State 5. Ohio State, I moved down to 4 because of what I still think was a look ahead for them this past week against Nebraska. But this matchup this week between 4 and 5, Ohio State and Penn State, is going to be awesome. And Texas, I have at 3. They didn't play. I couldn't really move them down. So Oregon at 2, they're probably the most dominant team in the country in Autzen. If you leave it in Oregon, they're going to beat anybody. But on a neutral site, I would still have Georgia over them. So
if we get Georgia and Oregon in the national title game, that would be a wildly good game. As we know, we can bring Vinny in whenever Vinny is ready. Here, we can. I know you are, Vincenzo. We'll get Vinny. Let Vinny get his laptop set up, and then he can grade our power rankings here in college football. And Vinny, we saved this college outing here for you because now we're in November now. We're in November. We have 5. We have an extra week this year because Thanksgiving is is late. So we have 5 weeks left in the regular season as opposed to the normal 4 now that we head into November. But look, this is we get Penn State, Ohio State this weekend. Now we'll solve some things for us. We get Alabama and LSU in a few weeks. We had Texas and Texas A&M in a few weeks. We're going to be solving a lot of question marks over these last 5 weeks. And quite frankly, at this point, Vinny, this is the greatness of this 12-team playoff, because our top 10 rankings, we're talking about teams that are still all alive here, where in a normal circumstance, Bama would be done already, LSU would be done already. Ole Miss, who we didn't have in our top 10 this week, they would also be done already.
They're in a dangerous spot this week against Arkansas.
Well, they also have to play Georgia at home as well, so I don't think they're going to make it to the end. But again, this is the beauty of this 12-team playoff now, Vinny.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Good job, guys. I have let's see, Georgia, Oregon, Texas, and Ohio State. So who Ryan? That's you.
Yeah.
I have those. I have that order. Where's Jeff's?
You throw it in the backup screen real quick. I have Ohio State slightly ahead of Texas, but it's close. Yeah.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, so but these are good, and to your point, it makes for a better season, because nobody's mathematically eliminated yet, right? I mean, obviously, the situation with anybody with 2 losses, like Alabama is still alive mathematically. But 2 losses does not eliminate you at this point. And I think that's good. I mean, it's an expanded playoff format. It's not a death sentence from week 1, right? I mean, think about it. Texas A&M might be eliminated after that first game of the season, and right now they're in the thick of it, right? So that's what makes it good. I know some people that I've seen some interviews where people don't like the new playoff format. I mean, I can tell you this, from our perspective, in our business, in our world, it's great. It's great for business. Yeah. A 12-team playoff is fantastic. We were hoping for an 8-team playoff, and we got a 12-team playoff. And I think the format is interesting because there'll be some seeding, and there'll be some complaining about that. Okay, fine. I mean, we get complaints now in the NCAA tournament, where there's 68 teams, right? So that's not going to change, but when you've got 4 teams on a bye, then you've got home sites, and then you also combining bowl games into it. I think it's great, and it's going to be terrific for business.
Sorry, Ryan. I want to ask you real quick, because neither of us have a Big 12 team in our top 10, and right now I have it down to, in just the list of teams that I still think are alive for a college football playoff berth, I have it down to 4 from the Big 12 that are alive still. BYU, as long as they keep winning, still alive.
Correct.
Iowa State, same deal.
Correct.
Kansas State fought off elimination on Saturday because they were down without the ball with 3 minutes to go against Kansas and still found a way to win. And wildly enough, the 4th team that is still more than enough alive to me is Coach Prime and Deion Sanders, and the Colorado Buffaloes, who, if they win out, have a realistic shot to make the Big 12 title game, which thus means you're still alive for a college football playoff berth.
Yeah. The only team that you mentioned there, and I'm just going to check I got my laptop here, but I'll go further into it. What are you laughing at, Andy? Iowa State, yes, ahead of them.
Yeah.
As well as BYU. So, but you know what? And Kansas State. So those 3, and those 4 teams are very much alive, and rightfully so, right? I mean, let's think about that. And again, good for the sport, and good for our industry for sure.
Well, also to the point of good for the programs. I mean, you look at what Florida State did. They were a top 10 team going into the preseason, and then they lose their first 2 weeks, and now they're 1-7. That team just completely plummeted and quit. Correct. And if you look at years prior, you get your first loss, and teams tend to quit. You lose another one, whatever. But with this one, you can afford losses, and your team stays involved.
And you're getting matchups during the course of the year that you would never have gotten under the previous format. Just would not happen.
Well, I mean, again, we talked about it. I mean, look, we would get Penn State, Ohio State. Yes, we would get that.
But overall, you would not I mean, I know they're in the same conference now, but Texas, Alabama, right? Texas, Georgia. I know. Again, now
Oregon,
they're in the
Ohio
same conference.
State.
Oregon, Ohio State. What's wrong? These are great games.
Yeah, I mean, well, I know Michigan isn't any good, but normal circumstance,
I don't know.
Oregon
It might be a great game this
Oregon
week.
and Michigan would be. Whoa, wow, what
yeah.
a regular season
Right?
game.
I mean,
but
so
it's the best thing college football's ever done is expanding this out. And look, they're going to expand it eventually to 14 or 16. It's going to happen. They're going to see the money that they make from it. They're going to expand it out another time, at least one more time. But this is hyper competitive still at the 12 because it's funny. Going into the year, I was thinking, it's probably there'll be some 10-2 teams that are probably still going to make this thing safely. If LSU, let's take LSU for example, who is a power rated team. Ryan still is in the top 10. Vinny, I would imagine they're close to the top 10 if they're not.
They're out of the top 10 for me. But again,
still
when you start going from 7 through 14, there's
pretty similar.
I mean, it's very close. It's a point to a point and a half.
So basically, though, what the point of this is where this year. I thought going into the year there would be 2 SEC teams and a Big Ten team that went 10-2 that would get in. I'd be lucky to be one of those at this rate with the way that everything has played out. Now, granted, if Ohio State goes to Penn State this week and loses, and then flips around and beats Indiana in 2 weeks, assuming they don't lose the 2 other games they're going to be big-time favorites in, Ohio State's still going to get in at 10-2 with road losses at Happy Valley and Oregon.
Right. Especially if it's close. I mean, Oregon was a 1-point loss.
1 point loss. They lose by 2 or 3.
Blowouts and close games, obviously.
But it's just a testament, though. And look, I know during the offseason, a lot of us complained about, we have to keep track of everything with the transfer portal and all that. This is as good of a college football season as I can remember. Just a matter of when you mentioned it. In the past, 1 and 2 would usually be leagues in front of 3. And then 3, 4, 5 would be leagues in front of 6. This year, 1 through 4 are all pretty similar. And then, like you said, Vinny, I would go even further. I think 5 through 15 are pretty darn similar this year.
Very, very close. There's actually 5 through 15 are closer than, say, 1 through 7.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. I mean, so that's how good a season it is. So, no, it's good. By the way, I don't know if you – tonight.
Yeah.
Well, I brought something for you guys too.
Please.
I know yesterday was rough. So
oh no.
Here's something. Just
that's for him. I don't need it.
Thank you.
Put that between you.
I could use these.
Put that between you.
We already have one.
That's not enough. On deck. It's not enough.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously.
I'll give you both of them, Ryan.
Because Jeff, I know that you're on a mission now, Mike. You want to make a statement.
I want this to be it's okay. I want this to be as embarrassing as possible for the New York Jets.
Well, it's hard to get more embarrassing.
I wanted to keep getting worse
after yesterday.
I wanted to keep getting worse.
And Ryan.
Yeah. Ryan didn't even. Ryan buried the lead of what the worst part of that was for the Bears, which we didn't.
I have the worst part.
What?
Let's see if Ryan agrees with me.
I don't think I can almost guarantee he won't.
Okay. Well, I think you'll agree with this. You end that game with three timeouts.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, I realize that the head coach is the only one that can call a timeout. But I just have a question. And maybe you can find out from your friends in Chicago. Was the defensive coordinator in the left corner of the end zone taunting the fans because he didn't notice what was going on down there either?
Yeah.
I'm just curious about how the.
Yeah, when your starting quarterback is the one that's signaling your defense to move up and that you need to pay attention instead of your head coach. Actually, before the play, even before the Hail Mary, shouldn't happen. You shouldn't give Terry McLaurin a free 15 yards to even be able to throw the ball anywhere remotely close to the end zone. But after that play, Jalen Johnson walks to Matt Eberflus and is asking him what they're doing. Is asking him, are we swatting the ball? Are we batting it down? And Eberflus says, no, go get it.
Go get it.
And then Tyreek Stevenson's in the corner of the end zone waving to the crowd.
All 11 guys go get it?
Tip it up to the guy in the back.
I'm just curious. I was just, I'm new to this. And
Apparently Matt Eberflus and Shane Waldron and the rest of the Bears organization.
But anyway, so.
Well,
Hence the yeah.
Well,
We have some more back there
look,
too.
look,
much needed. Much needed.
Look, I said it to Ryan beforehand. The Bears are in a very as good of a spot as they are with the future with how good Caleb Williams has. And he didn't play well for the majority of the game, but he looked like a budding superstar in that fourth quarter.
This coaching staff is costing him rookie of the year.
They forget that.
Just at a bare minimum, they are costing him rookie of the year.
For the future. Again, I mentioned this before, and it's the same sort of thing that got the Jets in trouble this year too. You can't go into a season that's as important as this one for Chicago. You have the number 1 overall pick, and to me, I know that people said Trevor Lawrence was the best prospect since Andrew Luck. No, it was Caleb Williams who was the best prospect since Andrew Luck. And you go in with that coaching staff. You're asking for Caleb Williams to have three coordinators in 5 years. That's what you're asking for by doing that. And the Jets went in with a bottom 3 coaching staff, and now have emerged with the worst coaching staff. And you're now 2-6. And
there are so many funny things with that game.
Maybe I should go get some more.
There are a lot of
another box.
I'm okay. Vinny, got any bourbon back there? Actually.
Oh, don't you worry. Listen, the bar is open.
Before half, they defended the Hail Mary correctly. They just forgot how to do it before the end of the game.
Listen,
and then you draft a quarterback that doesn't have the rushing upside as Jaden Daniels. But when you're driving down the field, you have a second down that you run a quarterback draw, and then the very next play, you run quarterback power. What is the offense? And then at the 1 yard line, you give it to the backup center when you cut the fullback on Thursday. And he fumbles, gives it to the other team, and then you somehow still manage to be in the game. And then you get another goal line.
The backup center part is still the best part of that.
And then you get another goal line situation where you're at the 1 yard line and you throw.
I got to cool him.
Like Vinny said,
I got to cool him down.
3 timeouts. Less than 30 seconds left in the game. You can run the ball into the end zone. You just made the mistake of handing it to your backup center and fumbling it. So why not? Let's throw a goal line fade to DJ Moore. Because what can happen on a pass play, throw an interception, you get sacked, or a penalty, something, just incompletion stops the clock. Just as good as a timeout when you could have ran the ball, wasted more time, and not given the Commanders the time on the clock to score. But then you also run the ball the next play and score the touchdown anyway. So I do not understand the thought process that the Bears coaching staff has whatsoever.
Good thing I got here when I did.
We almost made it, guys.
I needed to get that.
We almost made it.
Feel better now, don't you?
We almost made it. Before we go.
Yes, sir.
I know obviously this is a football frenzy, but I got to ask you. World Series tonight, game 3.
Yeah.
Shohei Ohtani will play with the shoulder subflexion or whatever it's called. He is going to play. He's in the lineup. Look, we know the history. We know the history. If the Yankees lose tonight, only the 04 Red Sox have done the 3-0.
Well, not in the World Series, though.
No, no one's done it in the World Series, but the Red Sox are the only one in baseball history to do the 3-0. The 04 Red Sox, of course.
In the ALCS, that's correct.
Yeah. No, I
broke the curse.
Yeah, that sure did. What is it? Chris was saying good two-way on this.
It is actually. There's because there's value with the Dodgers, right? I mean,
when are they going to be plus 132?
I mean, you're just not gonna find that. And the interesting thing is, the Yankees, it's about their pitching, right? Too. I mean, and you got a guy going tonight who's actually better on the road.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that going on in New York right now. Daniel Jones.
Ryan went through the whole thing earlier.
It's kind of amazing, but it is pretty good two-way action on the World Series game. So it'll be a great night, really. I mean, World Series game 3. You've got a Monday Night Football game, which has sparked some interest. And again, the game just right after Chris came out of the studio went to 6.5 and 37.5. So no real surprise that there's Steeler money coming, especially with their record on Monday night and the Giants the way they've been playing. Although they are better on the road. Daniel Jones, I think we mentioned this on Friday, Jeff. His quarterback rating is at least 40 points higher on the road.
Right. I mean, Ryan went through it
this season. Yes, his full career. His QBR at home is a 78, and at home or on the road it's a 92.
So, and it's this season, but it's even more. I think,
40 this year.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. So I mean, look, but good night for business. You got, and of course, a good full slate of NBA. You got some good NHL games.
Don't ask me for pre-flop NBA. Ryan's supposed to hit me in the face if I do that again.
Well, yeah. Pre-flop. Yeah, as soon as you know who's playing, which is probably about what time is it? Yeah.
Well, it should be now. There's a game
3:30.
tipping
You would
in
think
7 minutes.
3:30 Pacific. And then of course got hockey and the Golden Knights play tonight too.
It is
so it'll be Dodgers.
Sports Equinox tonight.
It'll be Steeler, Dodger, Golden Knights on the puck line parlays.
See, I'm even better off betting Cincinnati FC and New York City FC tonight in the MLS playoffs than I am pre-flop NBA. I can just tell you that right
I don't
now.
know. There's something about New York teams and not having home field.
Yeah, game 1 in Cincy there. Well, they couldn't because Yankee Stadium is the home stadium for NYCFC.
So,
Vinny, thank you.
Good job, guys.
Ryan,
crew, and
thank you.
Drew Dog, very
and
good.
Drew Dog, good job as always. Again, Ryan all over the Steelers tonight against the New York Football Giants. Again, this is a limited card for me. I just have that long shot touchdown prop on Washington, and I'm going to add one of the Giants running backs. It's just a matter of which one that I end up landing on in the next hour from now.
Tracy's a much more prolific or agile.
I think.
Athlete.
I like Motor, though. I like him as a player.
Yeah.
But he's not 100% healthy. And it's been pretty clear the last few weeks. We'll see you on this show again on Thursday. Of the Texans and the Jets to preview. Oh, boy, great. And then
I'll bring another box.
Yeah, I don't need a box at that point, Vinny. I need a bottle. And on tomorrow, though, this channel's still active throughout the week. Alex White, Kenny White will get you ready for Game 4 of the World Series, a full day of hockey, a full day of the NBA, and whatever else they end up covering, because they'll cover everything across the sports betting landscape tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. right here on the channel. If you were in the chat, thank you.
Yes.
As always, Minnie Dar, we love you, my friend. We love you, buddy. We'll see you again on this show on Thursday. We'll see you again for Alex and Kenny at 9 a.m. right here on Sports by the Book.